Hello PLCs, this is Megan Hansen. I will be going through this video with you to kind of facilitate some conversations among your PLCs. Martha Wilding, myself, and Beth Caesar were in your rooms on January 28th to collect data for IPI, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So norms for the day. I'm going to talk about what IPI is and give you kind of a background in that. But as you're looking at the data today, try to have a school system perspective. We're looking at this from a building level, and although you'll be talking about it within your PLC, the data really comes from all of us. So when we're talking or when we're looking at the data, that's what we're thinking from. And with that, we're going to assume positive intent. This is really about student engagement and how to improve that. And so that's the lens we should be looking through, as well as inquiry-based and normal norms within your PLC on or air time and things like that. Outcomes from today, the video, after the video, we should develop a familiarity with IPI. So I'm going to kind of go over what IPI means and why we started to do it at the College Community District. We're going to actually take a look at the data we collected on the 28th. And then we're going to connect that to the building action plans and your work within your PLC. So we'll start with IPI, and what is it? Instructional Practices Inventory was developed by Dr. Jerry Valentine, and basically it's to look at what our students are doing in the classroom. So we come in and we take a snapshot of your classroom and we look at what the students are doing. And this is faculty-led. It's not evaluative of teachers in any way. So that's why Dr. Valentine really stresses that this should be teachers going into teachers' classrooms. And we're really looking at that student engagement. And so then from that, we can kind of talk about what learning experiences can enrich the learning of our students. When we go into your rooms, we're going to code with one of these 6 numbers. 5 and 6 deal with higher order, deeper learning. So students are engaged at the higher order. The difference between 5 and 6 is that 6 is mostly individual, and 5 is more students collaborating and talking to each other at that higher order. 2, 3, 4 are all knowledge and skill level development. 2 is when the students are working and the teacher is not engaged. 3 is when the students are working and the teacher is engaged with them. And then 4 is when the teacher is leading instruction. So up at the front of the room, helping them with their computers, anything like that, where you're leading the learning, you're doing the talking. And then 1 is when the majority of students, so 51% or more, are not engaged in the class. The IPI tech piece is kind of a newer piece, and Dr. Valentine is still in early stages of researching the technology piece, but basically we code the class, and then if there are any students using technology, we're going to code that technology use as well, so that we can say, okay, what level are our students at when they're using technology. So in some of the data you might see some discrepancies because some classes we go into, everybody's using technology. So the code that we give to the whole class is the same code for the technology. But let's say we go in your classroom and most students are doing something and then 5 or 6 students are on computers. We're going to give a code to the class because most students are doing something else. But then we're also going to give a code to those 5 or 6 students on computers or on iPads or whatever they're doing to code what their level of engagement is with that technology. The tech versus no tech question, kind of the why behind why IPI was started, is we're looking to see if there's a difference between the cognitive engagement of our students if they are using technology or not using technology. So are we getting higher order with that technology, or are we losing higher order with that technology? Something we thought was important for you guys to see before you look at the data was kind of the average of what Dr. Valentine has seen with his collections of hundreds of thousands of pieces of data. So usually in a typical high school or middle school, you'd see these percentages in the breakdown of higher order here, lower order here, disengagement here, okay? That's for a non-tech class. Here are the numbers for a technology class, or even just students using technology, so it doesn't have to be the whole class. These would be your breakdowns, again, higher order, lower order, disengagement. So now as a PLC, I'd like you to pause the video and answer these two questions about when we were in your classrooms. After that discussion, if you could pause the video again, and now you should have individual data packets. We should have enough packets for everybody to look at their own data. Take a look through those pages, highlight, star, comment, do anything anything you'd like with those data packets individually first, so take maybe 5 minutes to do that individually. Now as a group, you're going to pause the video again and talk about what can we celebrate. What did you like seeing from the data, and then what issues or concerns should we maybe talk about from the data. Finally, you're going to pause the video one more time, and now you're going to use that pink sheet that we have for you to look at some examples or come up with some examples of categories 5 and 6 that you could use on any day of instruction, or something you've seen others do that would reach that 5 and 6 category for IPI, that high level or higher order learning. And with the yellow sheet now, you can pause the video again. You're going to generate one idea for yourself or for your PLC, and then one idea to use in the near future to get your students to that higher order, deeper thinking. And then mark that strategy on the yellow sheet, and then you'll be sharing that with us in a Google form as well. Finally, we'd like each individual to complete the Google form that was emailed to you. I'm going to try to link it to this video as well. It has these 5 questions on it, and then maybe building or PLC facilitators, if you could share, there's a question for you to share some of these strategies from the higher order or any conversation pieces that you think were valuable from your PLC's conversation and you would like the IPI team to know. So thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this and to look at that data and to help us move forward with our instructional practices.